4 left in the opening half here at Savage Arena. Toledo an early 7-5 lead on the Miami Redhawks. The third member of our crew tonight is Danny Rogers. Hey, Danny.
Hey, Mason. After this Toledo team started 2-0 in the MAC, it wasn't them being overly confident. Coach Todd Kowalczyk said for the first time this season, his team was letting their offense dictate their defense. And for the most part, the Rockets have relied on their defense to turn into their offense. So after those two losses, Toledo knew they needed to refocus. The major change, Coach Kowalczyk having forward Willie Jackson, who's averaging a double-double on the season, come off the bench, and instead, like you saw earlier, putting guard Spencer Littleson into the starting lineup. The result, a major spark plug the Rockets needed to get their first win in the MAC over this past weekend. As for Willie Jackson coming off the bench, Coach said he's such a team-first player that it doesn't bother him. He's okay with being the sixth man for right now, and he's still able to make major contributions to this team. Mason?
Danny, thank you. And Todd Kowalczyk really did get a spark from Spencer Littleson. Those first 4.5 minutes, he got 3 big rebounds, 2 on the offensive end.
He kept the ball alive, gave the Rockets a couple extra possessions, and we saw Willie Jackson coming in right out of that media timeout when Danny was talking about, where he was moving much better without the basketball, and he got a pretty good look out of the out-of-bounds play. He just couldn't convert it. So it's I think it's all win-win for the Rockets as far as these changes are going right now.
Jackson in the game for Toledo, along with Chris Darrington and AJ Edu. Nate Navigado puts it on the deck. The fall away swirls out. The rebound pulled down by Delonte Brown. Mekhi Larry is in the game for Miami. Number 2, the 5'8 freshman from Evansville, same hometown as Jalen Sanford of Toledo. As the Toledo in, Delonte Brown knocks in the 3.
Brown so far scored all of the Miami's points in this early going, and he certainly looks like he's excited to be back home.
It's his first game as a Red Hawk playing in this arena, but the last time he played in Northwest Ohio, he went off on Bowling Green in the MAC opener last year as Mekhi Larry gets the steal on the inside, took it away from AJ Edu, his fellow freshman. Brown in that game down to the Stroh Center, 17 points and 16 rebounds.
Likes coming back to Northwest Ohio, and you saw in that previous Toledo possession, AJ got the ball low where the little guys can come in and slap it away from him. He's going to learn to keep it up above his head and go up stronger and convert those without allowing the turnover.
Now we're seeing a couple of guys who have not been used very much this year in the game in the first 7 minutes for Miami. Van Bowman takes a seat. Precious Aya replaces him. Milos Jovic came in at the media timeout as well. They both set season highs, 4 minutes in a loss at Buffalo last time out. Aya missing there at point-blank range.
He got a good look at it, but AJ contested it pretty strong and really caused that miss. As we say, a nice high ball screen from AJ Edu there, and that's going to hopefully get Sanford kind of get that range going from behind the line.
Sanford's three-point shooting percentage has dropped down to about 35%, but that was a big make right there to put Toledo back on top.
It's tough offensively when you're the focal point of all the defenses, and certainly that's been the case for Jalen so far, at least in conference play.
Now Chris Darrington, a guy that provides instant offense for the Rockets, and he has an uncanny ability to get fouled. He is 6th on the team in minutes played, but leads the team in free throws attempted by an overwhelming margin. There's an offensive rebound and put back for Willie Jackson, and he slapped the ball away into the student section, and that will draw the ire of the officials.
It all started with the spacing that the Rockets had offensively. We see AJ here split the defenders, go strong, which is good to see, and Willie's not caught standing. A lot of times the Rockets in the last couple of weeks, maybe haven't been as fluid in their motion as what we've seen, and that time Willie was real active and got to the open spot and got the offensive rebound. So
Willie Jackson has 7 double-doubles this year. He had 16 rebounds in a game against Louisiana in the Gulf Coast Showcase over Thanksgiving. This is Eli McNamara, freshman from Pickerington North High School, perennial Central Ohio power. Short on the jumper there.
He's shorter on that one. Didn't never really have a chance right after it was out of his hands.
Jackson, a step inside the line, not there. Abdullah Haruna out there as well. One of the oldest players in Division I college basketball at the robust age of 26. One One of only a handful of holdovers from the John Cooper era down in Oxford. That's a travel.
Outstanding defense by Spencer Littleton there. He pressured the dribbler outside the line. He stayed with it. He didn't turn his shoulders. He didn't allow for that lane drive and really created that travel just by his ball pressure.
We saw really the same substitution patterns from Todd Kowalczyk all through non-conference play. Dylan Alderson is a guy whose minutes have dwindled a bit since the calendar flipped over to 2019 as Darrington gets the jumper to swirl home. Dylan Alderson, the sophomore from Clarkston, Michigan, only got 3 minutes on the road at Western Michigan. He's in the game now.
We say at this point in the season, usually the rotations are pretty set, and but it doesn't hurt sometimes to jumble things up just a little bit to wake the fellas up.
Darrington couldn't connect on the three. His minutes were down a bit in Kalamazoo as well. He only got 10. He averages 16, though he still managed to score 8 points. Here's Jovic driving to lay off to Precious Aya. Got his defender Alderson up in the air, and he will shoot 2 after the media timeout. So far, Delonte Brown, the only man to score for the Redhawks. He's 3 for 6 from the floor. The rest of his teammates 0 for 8. Toledo up 6. Well, it's impossible to talk Miami Redhawks basketball or Mid-American Conference basketball, for that matter, without the name Charlie Coles coming up. What a great man. What a great character. They certainly don't make him like that anymore. 1,000-point scorer at Miami. He was a coach there from 1996 to 2012 and has one big Toledo connection. He was the head coach at Central Catholic High School just off of downtown Toledo for a couple of years in the early to mid-90s.
Yeah, and I got to know Charlie when he was actually coaching up at Central Michigan before he ever came down here where we competed against him. And, you say he's a character, but oftentimes, it's people have style or they have substance, and Charlie had both. And there was a style to his substance that just made him irresistible, not only to compete against, but his players loved him. And the fans loved him, and he was full of integrity and passion for not only the sport but the young men that he coached.
The legendary Bob Nichols, for whom the court is named here at Savage Arena, also a former coach at Central Catholic High School in the city.
They were great rivals and great friends, and I know from both of them they had the utmost respect for one another, and that's what competition's about.
Navigado comes up empty on the three after Bam Bowman made the free throws out of the timeout. So the Redhawks within striking distance, down by 7. We saw in the first half it does not take Sabandi too long to heat up, and there he put his head down, drove to the basket, and drew the foul.
Miami's obviously picked up the intensity at the defensive end. They're really contesting everything Toledo's trying to do here early in the second half, but they're also being a little more aggressive, looking to penetrate, and I wouldn't be surprised if you don't start seeing the penetration then to the kick out for the open threes that they were lacking in the first half.
Sabandi gets the first free throw to drop through. The season high, scoring-wise, is 24 points. He's done that 3 times this year against Butler, Fort Wayne, and South Carolina State. And now has 17 here at Savage Arena. The Toledo lead is dwindling down to 5.
Again, I think this token extended pressure that you're seeing out of the Redhawks has kind of got their energy level up.
Willie Jackson, Chris Darrington, AJ Edu all back in the game for Toledo. Edu couldn't convert from close range. Good defense by the Redhawks. Kai Larry, a 2,000-point scorer in high school. all-time top scorer in Evansville high school history. A lot of great players have come from that city, including Jalen Sanford. Here goes Milos Jovic down the lane, and he flips it in.
Again, more penetration from Miami each possession. They're finding ways to get down into the lane, and now they've cut it down to 3.
Darrington driving, gets those 2 points right back, and a chance for one more.
You know, one of the things that you see about Chris Darrington is he's able to take that contact. Sometimes the grab we're going to see here, he takes it and then he sheds the defender. He's able to find a way. If you see, he uses that right hand to create a little bit, not only space, but freedom so that defenders aren't bodying him as on the drive. And then he's able to refocus almost immediately and get the ball back to the rim. That's a true art.
Jack Owens is really riled up in front of the Miami bench. Really getting into the ear of one of the officials.
I'm thinking he's seeing what I saw on that replay, how Chris is able to shed the defender. What I call is a shed, I think Coach Owens might call it an offensive foul.
Yet the officials didn't. Our officials tonight, John Yorkovich, Edwin Young, and Rob Riley. 3 the old-fashioned way for Chris Darrington, who told me at shoot-around he wanted everybody at home to know Delonte Brown, for his career, is 0-3 against him. And rattled off some facts and figures from the 3 times that Darrington Scott Bulldogs beat Delonte Brown's Bowsher Rebels in Darrington's senior year of high school. Sabande rises up and hits another 3, and now the Red Hawks are within 3.
And you can't say much more than that. Then he just hit a good shot. Sanford was pretty good defensively there. He just elevated over him and buried it. He's knocked a couple of those in. I think he hit one over Littleson as well.
Sabande has not been a very efficient scorer this year, but so far tonight, 5 of 6 from the floor, 4 of 5 from 3, and he's made all 6 free throws he's attempted. Jackson missed that jumper over Delonte Brown.
Rockets' offense has gotten a little stagnant here in the second half. A lot more standing around than what we saw in the first half.
Sabande, a late whistle. He was fouled by Sanford.
The reaction from the Miami bench may have helped that late whistle.
Did he catch him on the elbow?
Maybe this one will tell us. I don't think so. But I'm not the most unbiased person sitting up here, I will say.
He may have on the way up.
But he may not have.
And who can argue with that?
That's my discussion at home as well. And I usually lose that one too.
Getting all philosophical on me, Jay.
I'm pretty deep.
That's the first word I would use to describe you.
Well, we've been pretty serious here tonight, so it's been a big game. So we needed to interject just a little bit of levity.
Break the tension a little bit.
You know, try to ease everybody back here. So this has turned into a nice ball game.